regardless if Donald Trump publicly admits this or not, he knows that come January 20th, he's going to be out. Joe Biden will be sworn in, and Donald Trump will no longer be the president. So he is going to use this time, however, regardless if he admits this or not, to try to make Joe Biden's life a living hell. Publicly, he wants you to think that he's not preparing to leave because he's going to be there. He's going to be the next president. He won. But that's false. He knows what's going on. And what he's going to try to do is make it so that way what Joe Biden wants to accomplish immediately is going to be more difficult. So one of the things that Trump is trying to do is try to prevent Joe Biden from re-entering the Iran nuclear agreement. Now, this is something that we all expect Joe Biden to want to pursue because this is one of the best achievements, I think, of the Obama era. So, of course, after Trump undid Obama's legacy with regard to foreign policy and Iran, Joe Biden is going to want to try to re-enter the Iran nuclear agreement. The question really was, would Iran be willing to come to the table and negotiate with Americans again after we just tore up that deal? I mean, you'd expect them to be really reluctant to even want to speak to us again after what we did. We violated the terms of this negotiation, this agreement, which is functionally a peace deal, which stops both countries from escalating tensions. And what did Donald Trump do? He ripped up that deal and started to escalate tensions, assassinated one of their top generals. So the question is, would Iran even want to come to the table after we've proven that our word is good for nothing? And surprisingly, the answer is yes. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani actually called on Joe Biden to re-enter the agreement and reportedly said this to an Iranian news agency. Quote, now an opportunity has come up for the next U.S. administration to compensate for past mistakes and return to the path of complying with international agreements through respect of international norms. So let's just pause for a moment and reflect on this. This is astounding. The Iranians are more mature than the Americans, right? Because Republicans, they didn't like the Iran nuclear deal because Obama did it and because a lot of Republicans are neoconservatives and they want to invade Iran. I mean, Donald Trump had John Bolton in his administration who wanted to invade Iran and celebrate in Tehran by 2017. So these people are psychopaths. So the Iran deal was an impediment to their goals in Iran, largely regime change at worst. And it's shocking that they even want to negotiate with us again, but they do. So what is Trump going to do to try to hinder Biden from entering this deal again after Iran actually does want to come to the table when they have no good reason to? They're trying to impose lots of new sanctions on Iran, and Trump's administration isn't doing this unilaterally. He's working with allies in Israel and Saudi Arabia to tank future peace discussions between Joe Biden and Iran. And Axios reporter Barak Ravid explains Trump administration plans flood of sanctions on Iran by January 20th, and he explains the Trump administration, in coordination with Israel and several Gulf states, is pushing a plan to slap a long string of new sanctions on Iran in the 10 weeks left until Joe Biden's inauguration on January 20th. And this is what two Israeli sources told him. Driving the news, the Trump administration's envoy for Iran, Elliot Abrams, arrived in Israel on Sunday and met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and National Security Advisor Meir Ben-Shabbat to discuss the sanctions plan. Abrams will meet on Monday with Minister of Defense Benny Gantz and Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi to brief them on the plan. Abrams didn't respond to a request for comment. The Trump administration believes such a flood of sanctions will increase pressure from the Iranians and make it harder for Biden's administration to revive the 2015 nuclear deal, the Israeli sources told me. So this confirms two things. One, that Donald Trump knows that he's on his way out, and two, that he is an absolute bloodthirsty psychopath. He's actually trying to make it more difficult for Joe Biden to get back into the Iran nuclear agreement. Now, that doesn't necessarily matter, because whatever Donald Trump's administration does, Joe Biden can just undo that immediately. But what Trump is trying to do is make Iran angry, make it so that way they don't want to come to the table. And we already thought that that would be the likely scenario after Trump tore up the Iran nuclear agreement. But now that he sees willingness to come back to the table from Iran when they have, again, no good reason to work with us, he's trying to make it so that way they're pissed off and they don't want to work with us. And to be fair, this isn't just Donald Trump. This is Israel, other Gulf states, Saudi Arabia. They all want to make sure that their geopolitical foe, Iran, isn't able to thrive. Because if the United States is constantly, having their knee on the neck of Iran, that's better for them. That's better for Israel and Saudi Arabia, who are enemies to Iran. So, I mean, it's really disgusting that Trump is trying to do all of this. And look, let me remind you that Donald Trump is still going to be the president for 2 months. He can do a lot of damage in the next 2 months. And this is just like the beginning of it, right? I mean, when it comes to COVID-19, we're going to see cases spike. We're seeing that right now. Trump is going to do nothing. All he wants to do is whine and complain because he lost this election. This man still has the nuclear launch codes. He can do a lot of damage. I'm not saying he's going to nuke, but he has power still. That's the point that I'm trying to make. He has power, and he's going to make it as difficult as possible for Biden and make everyone's lives a living hell as a punishment because he lost this election. Now, he may publicly say, I didn't, lose this election. I won this election. It's just the Democrats who cheated. But he knows what's true. And this is going to be his last fuck you to America. He's going to punish everyone for not voting to reelect him. And as a result, he is causing chaos internationally because he's mad that he lost this election. He's literally a threat to world peace and international security because he lost this election. The Iran nuclear deal is good for everyone. It's good for the world because so long as that's in place, the United States cannot escalate tensions with Iran. So, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a really tense 2 months until Donald Trump is out of office, but best believe this is one of many things he's going to try to do to make it more difficult for everyone to progress forward after he's gone. His legacy will remain intact because, again, once Donald Trump is out of office, we still have a lot of Trump federal judges that he appointed. So it's going to be a long road ahead to try to undo some of the damage that he caused. But buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy road ahead because of Donald Trump, because of this narcissistic asshole who is just mad that he lost.
Mike is a total loser, so don't hit the subscribe button, okay? And whatever you do, folks, do not hit the notification bell either. Mike treats me so unfairly.